2015 through support from the Organization of American States Development Corporation Fund, the OAS DCF, the Ministry of Equity, Social Justice, Empowerment, Youth Development, Sports, Culture and Local Government, previously called the Ministry of Social Transformation, embarked upon a project for social and economic inclusion for persons with disabilities.
As per our mandate, we are supposed to serve and provide assistance to vulnerable populations in St. Lucia. We are supposed to ensure that our social protection services are accessible to these populations. And that's why this project is very critical, because it allows us, through this collaboration with OAS, to do precisely that. Because we're talking about a project which deals with capacity building of these individuals, looking at some of the issues that we wouldn't normally have thought about that affect persons with disabilities, the issue of climate change, the issue of disaster risk reduction. When we have these challenges in our societies, in many instances, these vulnerable populations are not considered in that equation.
The intention is that by 2017, 100 persons with disabilities will benefit from active participation in community-based workshops that will strengthen their resilience and better enable them to utilize local economic development tools and practices to facilitate their participation in the creation of micro-business enterprises for sustainable development.
The new DCF invites regional, national, and international actors from both private and public sectors to join in the effort by combining resources to achieve more results which will impact sustainable development in the member states. I am certainly pleased to participate in this signing ceremony of the execution agreement for the implementation of the OAS Development Corporation Fund and Government of St. Lucia program titled Social Inclusion/Social Protection.
Mrs. Herman, the participants you have here come from a cross-section of organizations. Can you give us an idea of your participation numbers and the backgrounds?
Well, our numbers have been about 21 on average, and the people are coming from, we have persons coming from the persons with disabilities, the group. We also have persons working with the adult daycare in Leclerc. We have one who works with the Marian Home, working with adults, older persons again. And we have a special group of people from our the Lady Gordon Opportunity Center. These are the hearing impaired people. So these people, whenever they come, they have to come with an interpreter. So I think we have had on average about 3 different interpreters. Very special group of people, very interactive, and it's been good so far with the workshop.
As far as the participation and the feedback, and any light bulb moments, what sort of conversations are happening as you go through your training?
Well, a lot is happening. We talk about every and anything because everything is focused on community development. All the topics that are coming in, they cannot be divorced from community development. So people bring a lot of their own experience and into the workshop. So we talk politics, government, their own home environment and whatnot. And we do have some exercises at the end of each session, if you will. We have exercises. And I think for me, a real eye-opener for me, although I had worked with them for maybe a month or more, is when we came up with the exercise that people were to say whether they felt they as a group or as individuals were being respected. And the special group from the Lady Gordon Center, their answer was no. That they were not being respected because the news came on the television, and on the radio they could not hear. On the television there was no sign language, no scrolling for them to understand. And they go to business places and people are rude to them because people feel they are being rude when they're spoken to, they don't answer, but it's simply because they did not hear. And so we are looking, that was taken back to the ministry, of course, and we are looking at a project that is going to address that issue for them. And after a month with them, it was like, when that happened, it was like, oh, that's true, they don't have for true. But I never realized they were affected. Yes. Yeah.
So that's important that came out of the training. Any other points as far as what the module that you're working on today? Any special interests as far as the participants? What's their feedback on the disaster reduction? I believe you said it was?
Yeah. The feedback was like, well, from the beginning we established that community work is all-encompassing. It takes in everything. And now that we started, well, we are ending that module, disaster risk reduction and sustainable local government. They're now saying that they never realized that it was so tied up to community development itself. And there are lots of things that they have said that they have learned they were not even aware of before. Starting with themselves, what they can do at home to reduce their own risk at home and move into the community. Because the focus of disaster risk reduction is always about saving lives and then you move on to property. And there are things we have to do and we should do to protect ourselves, because government, we understand, has a whole country. And there's always going to be some excuse why they could not focus on one community. And not only that too, depending on what happens, what event you have, you may find a case where that community is isolated. What do you do in the instance where people cannot get into your community to bring help for you? So our focus here is to build that capacity that when they go out there, they would be able to work with their communities, create the awareness, let people get interested and see the things that we can do to reduce our vulnerability, even in our own way of life. What do we do? How do we dispose of our garbage? And that sort of thing, because this is what is creating a lot of the flooding in our communities. So our message to them here is, take the message back to your community, starting with your home, extend it to the community, each one teach one, so that we can reduce our risk and eventually make life better for us.
And the reality is that a lot of these people with disabilities face more physical challenges in general. So I would imagine that the disaster risk reduction training would be special to them because they have more that they need to take care of as far as around their homes and stuff.
And we are advocating as well that those persons who are there who are more able than them, when you move into your community and you know where people with disabilities live, they should be part of the discussion in disaster risk. You should note where they live. Somebody should be assigned to them in case something is going to happen. So we know this little old lady is living by the river, she is disabled, we have to get her out. So it's like we're saying that you do your community assessment, you know what exists, what is missing, how are you going to supplement whatever you are missing. And those persons with the special needs, you always keep a record of them and always check on them, and they are the first that you attend to should a disaster be approaching us.
Several modules were presented over the course of the project: self-management, community development work, teamwork and communication, disaster risk reduction and sustainable local development, financial management, marketing and branding, and basic ICT. Mrs. Byron, how has the training been so far for you as a representative of the Blind Welfare Association?
Very informative. There's a lot coming out of it, and I have to say that I've learned a lot.
When you first got invited to such training, what were your expectations? What were your initial thoughts?
My initial thoughts were basically, me hoping to gain as much as possible, though it was very short notice. I have to say that it was literally sprung upon me, but then that was okay because now I have no regrets. It's really informative. So,
what has stuck out the most to you in what you have learned so far?
Being assertive. Before, I was not as assertive as, Now I can say that I'm confident that I can ask for what I want whenever necessary, and that to me is what stands out most.
The modules were designed by the Department of Social Transformation, and various officers were responsible for the delivery of specific components of the modules. Thus, the Ministry of Equity has maintained ownership of the project and has provided the necessary technical support to the project from the design to implementation phases. This allowed not only for defraying of costs, but for the imparting of first-hand knowledge and experience to the participants from the staff of the ministry.
Okay. Now that the project has concluded, based on your observations and the progress of the participants, what are the plans moving forward?
Moving forward, we envisage that the participants have been fully equipped to actually deal with any scenario. Their own projects, their own initiatives. However, in terms of the support from the ministry, we will continue to support them. The ministry has decided to undertake the tracer studies, to do the online questionnaires, and to keep them in check in terms of our networking and all of our programs. The ministry has proposed three areas that we need to strengthen. However, from the capacity building, we recognize that there was a need for further training in marketing and branding. So that's one area that we will be focusing on. Also, in terms of the ICT, some of the participants were very interested in ICT. So they will be looking at enhancing their skills in the ICT component, and also looking at probably designing their own web pages and stuff like that. So these are areas that we think that it will enhance their capabilities in terms of marketing themselves, given that they are persons with disabilities and they're working within their own spaces, how it is that we at the ministry could help them to arrive at those things. There was an exchange in terms of the knowledge exchange during that period, and what we recognize is in terms of preservation of our culture, there were some of them that were very interested in the clay products. So we visited clay producers in the social region, and they were very interested in learning. So what we have done is that we've organized a 1-week learning exchange, whereby we could teach some of the participants how to do some of the products.
To stimulate economic inclusion and income generation for sustainable livelihoods for persons with disabilities, the project included the promotion of business initiatives, including establishing a prosthetic limbs assembling plant under the direction of an amputee who has been trained and certified in the fabrication and fitting of prostheses. The participants took a knowledge tour of a beekeeping and farming operation run by a group of farmers with disabilities, which gave them the opportunity to see the potential of their own endeavors to become financially independent.
Here is our core project site on Balambush Estate. Okay. On site, what we have is more an apiary. We're doing beekeeping. We also do some farming, organic farming, involving organic farming, particularly herbs, and also a bit of a little nursery for tree crop planting. You will also see on site we have those tanks and I'll say a shade house. This is a rainwater harvesting project, these tanks, that was funded by CDMA and also NEMO. Okay. Later on, as you all tour the site, you all will see we have as well a large pond. We have 2 ponds, a small and a large pond, which you all will see, later. Okay, here we have the beekeeping research and experimental site. Okay, this project was funded by SSDF, and that's where we were making the comparisons using two different practices: the conventional practices used by St. Lucian beekeepers and the natural method of beekeeping.
I think the store has been magnificent from the very on-site, from the very time that we came off of here, of the vehicle. It's just been breathtaking. It's been an experience for me, and I could share the very same sentiments of all of my associates from the north, which are attending this project. It's been wonderful. We've learned a lot as far as bees were concerned. We've learned that, you know, they are very, very, very versatile, whereas you can have so many different products made from the honey and from the honeycombs and all of these kinds of things. So it was a great experience for me, and I just hope that everything works out for the persons who are working on this project. And once again, it was just a great experience, and I really enjoyed it.
We have learned a lot of how to go about doing business, our business plan, and whatever disaster preparedness, and a lot of things that we have not learned. The workshop dealt with. That I'm very satisfied, and I think OAS should continue with such workshop in the future.
Emerging from the capacity building workshops was a complaint by the hearing impaired about their marginalization by traditional media. It was noted that in the absence of closed caption on television, they are unable to tune into the evening news and other national programs of interest and importance. As a result, the Ministry of Equity and Social Justice has decided to propose a mass media initiative to introduce sign language as a part of national news broadcasts.
Persons with disabilities have recognized and have become quite aware of some of the things that need to happen so that they could develop and progress. And it was extraordinary that they would have asked for the ministry to assist with pushing the agenda in terms of getting assistance for them to understand what happens in the social media and in the media in general, in terms of getting them to know or be in the know as to. And it came out strongly from those persons from the hearing impaired group. Right, so the ministry is in dialogue with Lady Gordon Center to actually try to make this happen and make it a reality. So we're looking forward. I think it will be an exciting time for especially the hearing impaired on island, and we're looking forward to this initiative bearing fruit.
On July 14, 2016, 50 participants graduated from the 8-month training course, gaining a better appreciation of their own strengths and how to build synergies to create better futures for their families while contributing to community and national development.
So far, how has it been for you?
Very good. The training has been very concrete in terms of preparing us for the future. Most of the participants that are here are involved in the training with the hope that after these few months that they will be creating job opportunities for themselves, and that is in essence, the desire of most of us.
For you particularly, are there any issues that have been raised or any training that has occurred that has touched on something that you personally wanted to develop but you had not had the avenue to do so?
Well, my involvement in this training program is as a representative of the HelpAge St. Lucia, which is a council, a national council to look after persons who are, older than 60. And the interest here is for us to develop a module that will either enhance our capacity to represent persons who are older than 60 or create job opportunities for them. And in this workshop, we are learning how to understand our community, how to develop our communities in a more effective way, and how now to assess our community in terms of determining the best kind of project, economic project that we could undertake in the future.
Promoting the development of human capital is imperative for every developing nation. More so is the social and economic inclusion of its differently abled citizens who are often overlooked but possess the talent and drive to excel as productive members of society.
Thank you, OAS.